Hey there, this is DJ from PTA. Want to go over a few stocks that I traded today. Uh, End of the day green, but definitely had some sloppy trading. So I want to kind of go over those sloppy trades first. The first one being AMC. So, just with it being a hot stock, we talked about the pullback from yesterday, and today gave us another indication of a pullback. I didn't see the overall consensus of it, so it was failure on my part. The stock was on a downward trend. As I was discussing with some of the Discord members, that I was trying to catch a falling knife in this instance with this trade. So the trade could have been profitable, but because I have certain strategies, certain things in place, we took a loss, about a 50-cent loss on the trade, and I want to kind of go over that with you. So essentially, we placed the trade. So, guys, I like to do my analysis. The one thing I failed to look at is the overall trend and seeing that it was actually collapsing. So when I saw this move here, and I saw that it was coming out green, I didn't allow it to confirm. So I was trying to get in a little early, which I should have waited to the new 30-minute to confirm that it was going to continue on to break out. But I tried to catch it a little early, and that's where I got burnt. So the reality is I got in at 28, 28.80 is what that order was. So let me kind of break that down into the 1 minute. So I got in. Let's put your. So essentially, I got in right here, right off of that. So I was thinking, break, break into 28.99, let it move all the way up. I mean, it did go as high as 29.25, 29.30s area right here, and then it just kind of pulled back and slowly got me out, grinded back down. What I did find interesting was the actual control collapse. Um, I mean, these bars look literally identical, going all the way down. So, and the trade just never recovered. So it actually broke down and continued fading for the rest of the day. So this was the area that I was trying to get in at. I was looking for a pop, maybe a pop up to this area here, which would have been yesterday's close, a pullback, maybe a retest at 28.99 and continue on, but we just didn't get that. So looking at the trade overall, should have never traded it. Should have waited for it to confirm. And sometimes we get a little anxious, and that was one of those trades, and it came back to bite me. So looking at the overall trend, I mean, it was bound to fall. So I was thinking it would fall, bounce off this area here, as you can see right there, and then continue on. So that's what gave me the confidence to jump in. But sometimes you gotta take that analysis. So this loss here what could have been prevented by just following the rules of waiting till you get that confirmation. Another thing that would have been great was looking at it on the smaller time frame that on that 15-minute, watching or waiting for it to actually, let me go back to the 30, waiting for it to actually confirm here. Wait for that next leg up, maybe enter in above this 29.25 area and let it rip that way. But, lesson learned. So that was my one of the first trades I wanted to go over. The second trade that I would like to go over is DRCT. Now, DRCT was a gapper, finished out red. But initially in the morning, what I saw that interests me was we had this nice pull up, pull back after hours, and then it jumped up, um, and then it pulled back. When it pulled back, and then it went into the second hold, I thought, and then just looking at the screen, I thought, okay, yeah, I'm going to get me a nice little move up to the upside. So when it went and did this, I initially missed this move. So when it pulled back and still was making higher lows, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, this thing might actually explode. So I end up drawing my area about right here on that 30-minute pullback. So zooming in, um, what initially happened was I got into this trade right around, go down to the 1 minute. $470. I actually got filled in at 471. So what I was thinking was when it pulled back and did this move, now let me kind of pull this out to like the 15-minute, because then it'll make a little bit more sense. Let me put this as a green line so you can kind of get an idea that this was my entry. So right here, when I seen this pull back and then confirm, I'm thinking somewhere above here it would have took off. So looking at the smaller time frame, I was trying to squeeze in and get that push, and then you can really see it on the 1 minute. So it's right there. Somewhere right there I got in. It went up, hit this 498, pulled back, didn't break the previous low, so I held. It kind of retested, so it gave me double confirmation that it was going to go. And then it went up and then slammed really quick. So I ended up taking some shares off, and then it eventually ripped up. And then I sold the rest of the shares and got out probably about right here. Now, most people say, well, why did you get out so small on the 1 minute frame? Well, the reason being is that this stock didn't have a lot of range. You know, the range on it was about at the time maybe 40 cent, 44 cent. So any 50-60 cent move, I'm getting in and out. So this was something I had to do a very tight stop loss. I think my stop loss might have been 10 cents or something like that. So if you can get a 10-cent stop loss, relatively, let me look at these bars. You can literally get somewhere around 9, 10, 15 cent stop loss, and you're getting 40-50 cent. That's 3 to 1. You got to take that. You got to take that on a small trade because it's really trading outside of its average trade range. So if that's the case, you got to take it. It might pull back or something like that, but once it rips like this, like I did here, in this little motion here where I got in at, yeah, you got to let it rip. You got to. You gotta let it, and when it rips, you need to take it. And everyone who knows playing these low float stocks like this, and this stock only having a 2.8 million float, is one of those deals where it can go either way really fast because there's not a lot of shares available. So this is something you want to keep in mind when you're playing low float stocks. So that's how I ended up playing that and caught a good win off of that. Like I said, it was only about 60 cent, and that was it. I got in and out, kept it moving. So the next trade that I want to go over is ADGI. ADGI was another one. Go back to the daily. Was purely just a gap up. I was thinking it was going to hold, but it just didn't. It's one of those, again, stocks that just didn't move. It just really didn't move. So I got kind of irritated with it, to be honest with you. This is the area that I got in at. So remember, 30-minute, and again, I didn't follow my rules of waiting for the confirmation. I jumped in, and once I got into this, it started acting really, really choppy. So I end up squeezing in. Let me see something here. I got into this one at 571, right there. So it was interesting because both of them was at 71 when I was looking at this for those two trades, DRCT and ADGI. So what ended up happening is once I got in, it jerked up. So initially, it was right here I got in. It jerked up and then slowly grind back. Remember, my swing low was down here, so you literally talking about 30 cent or so. It's about 30 cent, somewhere around here. So I had swing low. So when it pulled back, I wasn't too anxious. So we'll see what it'll do. It bounced, and then they gave me that confirmation was go here. Now, the smart me would have added, but I was already kind of like, I could just get this stock to break even, I'll be cool. So if it went back up, it shot past here, and then ripped back down. So when it did that, I ended up just taking profit. I just, I was already kind of burnt out from the other trade of AMC, and I believe that was the second trade that I ended up taking. And I just was like, you know what? Let me just go and take something off the table and leave it. And eventually end up popping up and then fading for the rest of the day. So that's the only thing about these low float stocks that I don't really care for is they don't have a lot of range. So a lot of times you just got to take them, 40, 50 cent, get in and out, keep it moving. Now, the trade that I did very well at, which was my big winner, was ISIG. ISIG was doing a couple things to put it on my radar. It had gapped up. Let's look at the weekly. The weekly, it was, more volume than the week before. I look at that as a great indicator of knowing when things are going to step in. But go back over, we had a gap up. So with this gap up over the 200 EMA, it's just like more of a buying signal for me. So scrolling down into the 1 hour, I'm looking at the structure. So you definitely had this pull up and then this slight pullback. So some people will look at that as a flag from a higher time frame. For me, I kept that in mind because, like with all trades, I kind of try to look at what everyone else is doing in their trade as well. So with that being said, that kind of put that in perspective that, okay, more people are looking at buying this than anything else. So what I end up doing, which I like to do, is let the trade form up, find some pullback, and then let it take off. So this is the trade that I was looking for in particular. So when it pulled up, I had this little area here that looked very interesting. So we got our first little red candle here. So this is the only like entry that I end up seeing. So I end up watching the price action from the 1 minute. So as I watched the price action from the 1 minute, when it made that 5 minute low, I could see that it was grinding up and pulling back. So what I end up doing was waiting until it actually looked good to me. One of the things I like to do is to see either a double candle back or just one that is completely a pullback. So when I saw this little section here and I saw this little section here, I knew that it was pulling and then it ripped and then it pulled, but it didn't pull lower than this area here. So they gave me confidence that it was about to go higher. So I ended up getting filled at, let's see something here. I ended up getting filled at, let me see something here. Yeah, I think it was 1251 was the area. Let me go back to my sheet. Yep, 1251. So I got filled at 1251. So I think I got filled right above the zone. Yep. I got filled right above the zone. So I got filled right about right there. Now, once it got filled, I mean, it literally just took off and went straight up. Looking at the chart and looking at the movement, I just knew by looking at it I was parabolic. I mean, you already had a nice little grind that actually came from right here. So when I saw that, and this is just for those who like to see flat patterns or whatnot, I saw this pull sideways price action, got in at 1251, risk to the bottom there, and then it ripped. And I mean, it literally ripped. So when it started ripping like that, I immediately sold at want to say it was 14s, yeah. So 1407, 1409, 1422. So my highest sold was at 1422. And the reason being, it didn't even pull back. It just ripped really fast. When I see parabolic moves like that, I know there's people just getting squeezed. So in my instance, when I get $1, $2, $3 really fast like that, I start loading off or try to load off at every dollar increments so that I can take out most of my shares. This is the one I had kind of loaded on and got a nice rip, and then it went sideways. So ultimately, those were the trades. And this one here, again, it just didn't give you any real pullback. So when I saw this, and this is what I mean about being adaptable, when you see a pullback and it was kind of channeling, because I mean, if you just take a look at it yourself, you can see the channel. You can see that the stock was kind of channeling through or accumulating, and then it ripped. So something to think about. All right, guys, appreciate you guys taking a look at this. If you have any questions, concerns, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, as I tell everyone in our Discord, stay studying and stay focused.